for me, that's the thing that I'm constantly getting bullied on, constantly getting trolled on, because they use my picture and they put it next to like a crazy horse or a sitting bull, right, and say, look, she's the real Native American and this is the fake one. Right. And I think that is erasure. You're erasing a whole people by doing that and saying that they're not real. And by saying that, and see, the thing is that we all have various creation stories. There's over 500 Native federally and non-federally recognized tribes in the United States. That means that's over 500 different cultures, right, languages, creation stories. Right.
Yo, this is exactly why we do what we do. Watch this.
Sad because you just don't know much about it. Like, and this is going to sound like a joke, but my grandfather is part Native American, but I don't know nothing about his history. Nor does my family, so we don't even discuss it. We joke and laugh and say, yeah, that boy has straight hair. But other than that, we don't know anything about it.
Are you Puerto Rican?
No. No.
What is your nationality?
I'm all black.
You're all black. But your grandfather is Native American.
Native American. Native American.
Okay. And that's exactly what it is, because our history, it was either black, white, black or white.
Right.
It was no in between. So there was so many Native Americans. Like I said, it was always intermixing. 97% of African Americans have Native in their lineage.
And this is why we continue to teach on a basic level, because new people are coming into this truth every day who just don't know the history.
All my black folks that's doing the whole picture thing with putting me up and putting a light-skinned Native next to one another, stop doing that, because you're doing what white folks do. I would say this, because there's so many black Americans, even I remember my aunt on my father's side, she was like, we got Native in us. And she was like, I'm sorry. She was like, we have Cherokee in our family. But she did the ancestry DNA. There's no Native on my dad's side at all. It's all African. Right. You don't even have white in him. Right. It's like all African, And so the thing is that, like, I think it's good for everyone to go to your own family tree, go to your own, stop letting social media history and memes dictate who you think, trying to tell you who you are. Yeah. Because there's only one Chuck Creekmer. You know what I'm saying? You know what your family is. Yeah. You're not going to watch a social media post and be like, man, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or they're from the tribe of Gad, or I'm a Moor. Yeah. Are you really?
I have heard that so many times with my name, you're a Moor. And I'll be like,
You know that? You just met me.
Right.
How do you know me? Like, how do you know my family? Yeah. So I always say, everyone, get to know who you are individually, who your family is, and stop relying on, it's good to kind of get a basis, but man, we are not, as black people, we're not a monolithic people. Yeah. Stop putting us in these little things and thinking that's what we all are, because we all are not.
Please welcome the one and only YoNasda LoneWolf is here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow,
beautiful. Yes.
Right now, we're in a time where people are putting pictures of me, and I'm black and Native, next to a sitting bull or next to Crazy Horse, and they're saying, look, she's the real Indian and he's not. I think that type of narrative is very dangerous.
Yeah, divisive.
It's very divisive, and it's erasure. And I'm not for, because we're already trying to show everyone we're not a moniker, right. We're not a monument, we're not a mascot, we're not a holiday, we are still here. And then saying that, oh no, the darker skinned Natives are the real ones and the light skinned ones are $5 Indians, I think that's so divisive. And I block everyone that puts me in that narrative. Because I'm like, my mother, so you're calling my mother a $5 Indian? Now there is history and stories, and we learned that with the Osage movie of $5 Indians. But every light-skinned Native is not a $5 Indian. You're not monolithic people.
Nah.
We come in all shades and sizes and colors and everything, and just to constantly, I think with me, you know, a lot of people like, well, is she denying her blackness, or is she denying her nativeness, you know, or she doesn't look like she's black and native, and why don't she just choose one? That was something that I always got growing up. Or am I adopted because my mother, I don't, you know, because I'm not the same skin color as my mother? Like, we have a certain stereotype of how we want Native Americans to look, you know, and that is something that we're trying to just push away from.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, the guy that commercial, what was his name? Cody? What's his name? The one with the tear?
The tear, when he looks at the
Yeah.
litter. Yeah, the don't litter.
Ionized Cody. You know, he was Italian. You know, he wasn't even native.
Damn, dude, are you kidding me? I watched that as a kid.
Yeah, he was Italian. He wasn't
was a native.
No.
Fake tears. The commercial slave. It was a commercial and a poster.
Yo, Hollywood though.
Yeah, and so we have this vision, and it's so funny because
Damn, he wasn't native.
Yeah, and it's like with me and Antoine's tribe, they always would have, like, you know, like the Western movies out in Arizona, but they'll be wearing like our regalia, right? Like they'll be wearing
most romanticized, I say, is the Lakota, because it's the teepee, it's the headdresses.
Yeah.
Even when you come out this way, I have some homies out here. They're Six Nations. They're like, yeah, people out here be getting tats of the teepees and, you know, wearing headdresses and stuff. But that comes from our people in media and film. Yeah.
And it's always our tribe. Like, no shade to Pawnee over there,
we just keep it warrior.
Let's do this.
So there's two halves to you. There's
Yeah.
the black side, and then there's your indigenous side.
Yes.
Let's talk about the indigenous side of you and how that's impacted your life.
Man, everything. My mother, full-blood Native American, Ogallala Lakota from Pine Ridge, South Dakota, raised me. You know, she could have made a decision and just raised me as just being Lakota, but she fell in love with a black man, and she made a decision like, I'm not gonna, because in our Native way, we have a way, like, you're who your mother is.
Okay.
You know, but my mother was all like, no, I'm not going to set my children up. And look at this, the color of my child's skin, you know, like my mother was like, I'm going to make sure that you're around a black community, strong matriarchal woman, you know, that taught me. See, my mother couldn't teach me how to be a black woman.
Right.
She was Native. Yeah. She could teach me how to be a Native woman. Right. You know, she could only have empathy, you know, for the black struggle. Yeah. But she really, you know, there was certain things that she just did not know how to have that conversation with me in regards to like race on my black side. And so she had me around just amazing black matriarchal woman that taught me about my blackness. And that taught me about not just who I am as a black American, but also would bring me around the African culture and learning about African spirituality and the tribes and everything, you know. And so I think that I've lived in three worlds: the white man's world, and the Native world, and then the black world. And it's just trying to balance those three. For the first time being 45, it's like I'm now understanding how to balance the three. But for the longest, it's always been a struggle because it was constantly having to like explain myself, you know. And then and even now when I still, people want to ask me and you know, like, what are you, and all these different questions or whatever, I don't feel like I just say what it is. I don't have to do a lot of explaining, you know. And I think that my works kind of show improve in regards to like who I am in the Native community and who I am in the black community. Yeah. You
went to Standing Rock, and for those that don't know, actually you explain what that situation was.
So in Standing Rock, it was so Standing Rock is my sister tribe. These are the people, the Hunkpapa, the people of Sitting Bull. This is up in North Dakota, about an hour from Bismarck. So there was an oil pipeline that was being built from Standing Rock, North Dakota, throughout the Missouri River, all the way through alongside the Missouri River. This was in 2016. And so we went, it was the youth. The youth was like, we don't want this to happen. This is going to go through our treaty land. And they're doing this illegally on our land. And so the youth brought awareness, and then, man, that water called me. I went up there, and I was on the front line. It was so beautiful because people from all walks of life that came. And man, we was up there, and we was getting hit with tear gas, rubber bullets, all types of chemicals that was being sprayed on us. And then, so the beautiful part is that we won. They're not building, the pipeline is built, but they didn't put no oil through it. And that is because of the fact that we've been fighting in the courts. The tribe has been fighting in the courts to make sure that doesn't happen. But former President Donald Trump tried to make it happen again. And then Biden went in right after him and said, no, we're not doing this. And then we don't know. So it's one of those things that whoever is president could.
Never-ending fight.
Yeah. But see, we got beat up so bad that I don't know if we would go back on the front line again. They did infiltration by hiring a private security firm called Tiger Swan, which is Blackwater. Which they came in and infiltrated. 90 of us, including myself, have various forms of cancer.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so I'm battling stage 4 lung cancer now because of the chemicals and everything they sprayed on us up there. And so it's been very difficult. Just trying to, because a lot of people are like, well, Standing Rock is over, but for me, I'm waking up every day with the residue of fighting for clean water. And guess what? I would do it again.
Okay.
I would do it again.
Have you thought of suing?
We have. It's going to take a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of money. And then we're going up against Energy Transfer, the Army Corps of Engineers. These are major government, entities that have a lot of money, So, yeah, we've reached out to the top lawyers in the country, and it's going to take a lot of money.
Has anyone expressed interest in taking?
Yes, every single one of them, and they was like, it's going to take a lot of money.
Where's Brother Crump?
Yeah, he's the one that said it's going to take a lot of money. He was on it for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on it for a minute. So yeah.
Okay. Well, let's work.
So if any funders out there that want to help us sue the government, hit me up.
About the experiences of Indigenous people, past and present. Our next guest is one Native voice who's challenging some of the foundational stories we tell about this country. In his recently launched book, An Afro Indigenous History of the United States, Dr. Kyle T. Mays, who is Saginaw Anishinaabe, examines both the enslavement of Africans and Native dispossession, revealing how the two were deeply intertwined. It's an incredible book, and honestly, it's one of the first to offer simultaneous accounts of Black and Indigenous resistance on these lands.
And, you have even today, Hoteps, if you will, who claim that there are the original peoples. And we have to dispel that myth because it's dangerous rhetoric that erases Indigenous peoples.
Say a little bit more about that. When you say that, and I don't particularly use the term Hotep, but you're saying that there are pockets of thought that would suggest that African people or Black people are the original people. And are you saying that it's inadequate as an analysis because we should say that there are multiple original peoples, or are you saying that Black people aren't the original people and that Indigenous people are? I'm just trying to clarify for the audience.
Right. So there's a segment, especially through social media, and I've been attacked and been claimed to be a part of the Copper tribe. I have no idea what that is. And they say that Black people are the original peoples of the U.S. With no historical documentation.
Gotcha.
And it ignores Native peoples' histories of, how long they've been here, right? Creation stories. And it's just a dangerous thing that perpetuates the erasure of Native peoples, which is central to American history and popular culture.
Indigenous Afro-American DNA is haplogroup R1. In this video, we will talk about genetics. Afro-Americans are indigenous to North America. We are indigenous because our ancestors were Black Native Americans, Black Europeans, and Sub-Saharan Africans. Most geneticists claim that Afro-Americans are not Native Americans because they say we don't carry Native American genes. This is a lie, because Mongoloid Native Americans and Afro-Americans carry genes that originated in Africa and are still carried by Africans today.
But we have not detected any African-like populations in the New World, to my knowledge. And African populations are very, very genetically distinct. The separation between African populations and non-African populations occurred anywhere between 60 to 200,000 years ago, depending on the African population that you are, thinking of. So, for example, West Africans, the most likely donor population in the New World, and the donor population to the African diaspora in the New World, diverged from Eurasians on the order of 60 to 100,000 years ago. And so they show up when they show up in the ancient DNA. They're very clear, they're very distinct. And to my knowledge, we don't see any of this in the New World samples before 1492.
We found that there were 5 primary mitochondrial DNA lineages present. These lineages have become designated by letter names in the scientific world. And the ones that we see in Native American populations were the mitochondrial lineages A, B, C, D, and X. And these 5 lineages are ones that are common today in Native Americans, and they were the ones that were present in these ancient communities, were the mitochondrial lineages A, B, C, D, and X. Were the mitochondrial lineages A, B, C, D, and X.